What is this mysterious Lambda function, and why is everyone reluctant to learn it? Well, today we are going to find out, and stick to the end to find out why nobody wants to learn it. The Lambda function is a single-lined anonymous function, meaning it has no name. However, unlike its tradition function associates, this function is declared using lambda and not the def keyword. This function is great for performing a short and specific task or operation once. For example, if you just wanted to square each number in a list, using map in the lambda function would be a great use case. Let's quickly take a look at this weirdo in real time. Okay, so now let's create this thing. So we're first going to create a variable name, and we're just going to do add. And we're going to do add, and now it's time to use the lambda keyword. So now we're going to do lambda, and all this does is it creates our lambda function. And now we can just put our colon here to create our function, and now we can do whatever we want. And we are going to add these two numbers. So now if we print add right here, and this is all you do. So now if we run this, we should get 10. And boom, we get 10. And that was pretty simple, nothing too complex. Now let's just make it a tiny bit harder. Oh no. And we are going to add a variable or a parameter. And what this is going to do is now we have to assign or put a parameter in this lambda function. So the same way that we would pass in a parameter or argument like this, we are just doing it this way using our lambda function. Okay, so now we have our parameter here, and we're going to put in x plus 5. So now whatever we put in our add function right here, let's say 10, we're going to add that number and then add 5 to it. So now we have 15 instead of 10, like what we had before. Okay, so that wasn't too bad, but let's just take things up one more level.
You've got to be kidding me.
So now instead of just having one parameter, let's add 2. And now what we're going to do is now we can add two numbers together. And now if we look at that, boom, we have 18. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some really intense use cases where lambda would be really useful. Okay, so we have our first use case right here, and this looks so overwhelming at first glance, but let me break it down for you. So we have a print function right here, and we are printing a list, and inside this list we have a map. And essentially what a map does is it actually takes a function and it needs an iterable. So it takes a function, you pass a function in, which is, in our case, our lambda function. And what our lambda function is doing is it's taking each element in this list right here, and it's squaring it. And then, of course, we're just passing our numbers list right here. So if we print this, every number should be squared. Every number was squared. So just glancing at this, it looks very confusing. But when you break it down, then you can finally start to understand that it's actually really not that complicated. So here we have another use case. Now this one might look slightly complicated, but trust me, it really isn't. So we have another list right here, but instead of using the map like what we used last time, we are using the filter. And now we are just going through our numbers list right here, and we are filtering through all the odd numbers. So every number that is odd, then we want to keep that, and we want to expel all the even ones. So if we run that, we get all the odd numbers. We get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this is the power of lambda functions. So let's just hop back over to our lesson. Okay, now why does everyone cower away from using lambda? Well, the reason for that is...
Yes, I'm listening.
...is how it looks. They judge it before giving it a chance. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in my next lesson.